Alright. So some people know that I have a friend named Shawn. Well, I think a lot of my subscribers know that I have a friend named Shawn. He's had another YouTube in the past, but he's got a different YouTube now. He does mainly just like TikTok videos and some Instagram videos and stuff. I think he's got a YouTube, but I'm not really too sure. I haven't talked to him in a while. It's probably been like 2 months. But anyway, he does TikTok and stuff like that, but I'm not really too sure if he does YouTube anymore. I'm not really too sure. I talked to him a couple months ago. He told me he did have YouTube, but he doesn't really go on it or something. I don't know. Anyway, so this is a little bit of a story about the time I met my friend Shawn. Well, I was in Moore's Elementary for 5 years because, well, that's my school that I went to, basically. I went to Moore's Elementary and I went to Champlain Elementary before that for 1 year, but then they closed, so I had to like restart like my like my 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 education at Moore's Elementary. And I made friends in Moore's Elementary too, but not as many friends as I did in Rouse's Point Elementary. That's where I went for 5th grade again because I just wasn't ready for the middle school yet. So because I was kind of like they said I was like a slow like slow or something like that. Well, they were, it was a little bit nicer word or something. But anyway, so I went to Rouse's Point Elementary for like 1 year basically. And it was okay school. I just wasn't used to it because they put me in like some regular classes too, and they also put me in special ed for like half of the morning, and then in the afternoon I was like in regular classes. So I had a regular, like, well, not a special ed teacher, but I had like 3 4 teachers, like basically I had like 3 or 4 teachers basically. And because they really didn't have special ed in Rouse's Point. They did, but it wasn't like what I was used to. So it was kind of different for me. And also, it was pretty cool because my cousin Gregory was in Rouse's Point because he didn't go to, well, he went to Moore's for like 1 year and then like they moved. So he went to Rouse's Point and I went to Rouse's Point. So it was pretty cool. We were on the same bus and everything. It was pretty cool. And so I went to Rouse's Point for 1 year. And this is how I met my friend Shawn. Now, I didn't become friends with Shawn right off. I started to become friends with Shawn like a couple months after I started school. He started to talk about like the Beatles and stuff like that. It was like, oh, pretty cool, because like honestly, before I became friends with Shawn, I never heard of the Beatles before. Like honestly, I never even heard of the Beatles before. Like I kind of heard of them like getting talked about before, like a lot of the elders and stuff, but I honestly didn't really listen to the Beatles before, because a lot of us, we listen, like in my family, we listen to country. So I never really listened to the Beatles or cared to listen to the Beatles, and I didn't really listen to the Beatles up until a couple years ago, really. I mean, like you're gonna say, oh, you never listened to the Beatles? They're like the most famous band. Yeah, I know they're the most famous band in the world, but you know, I just didn't have any interest in the Beatles, so I didn't listen to the Beatles up until a couple years ago, you know. Um, but besides that, so that's how I became friends with Shawn, and we'd go out to the playground for like an hour and a half or whatever, and or no, maybe not an hour and a half, like maybe for like 40 minutes or 30 minutes or something, and that's how I became friends with Shawn. We'd talk about the Beatles and everything, and like country music and whatever. He wasn't really into country music. I don't think he still is into country music. I'm not really too sure. I haven't talked to him in a long time, so. Well, not a long time. It's been at least like 2 months or so. Just like when you have a friend, when you get older, you got a job or whatever, life happens. You know, you're not talking to them all the time like you were when you were younger. That's what happens, you know. Anyway, so that's basically how I became friends with Shawn. Um, so, and then he went up to, because he was like in a grade lower than me, so he was in 4th grade. So when I went into 6th grade, he was in 5th grade. So then when he went up to middle school, we started becoming friends again. That's kind of how we became better friends, because he went up to middle school and I became friends with him once again. I actually totally forgot about Shawn. Like, I honestly, when I went up to the middle school, I thought, oh, maybe I won't ever see him again, because I didn't know if he was going to go to the middle school or something. I mean, honestly, I didn't know if he was going to be in my same class as me. That's what I thought, you know. Then he came in the same class, because I didn't know if he was going to go in regular classes, and I would just totally forget about Shawn. But nope, we became friends once again. He started to talk about the Beatles again, and that's how I kind of started listening to the Beatles more. And when I was in 7th grade, he was in 6th grade. So, but like, honestly, I thought that he was going to go in other classes, and I totally forgot about being friends with Shawn. Like, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know if he was going to be in the same class as me still, but he was, so that's pretty cool. But that's how I became friends with my friend Shawn, and then we've been friends since middle school and Rouse's Point Elementary. So, peace. Up next, I'm going to be talking about how I became friends with my friend, um, uh, Avery Heaney.